Hello, welcome back to Oracle DBA tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to see about types of locking. So in the last video, we discussed about why and what is locking and why do you need a lock. And in this short video, we are going to discuss about how this locks really implemented and what are different types of locks. So essentially, there are two types of lock implement strategies. That one thing that you're going to do, you are going to called pessimistic locking, and another one is optimistic locking. So this is types of, so theoretically there are two different types of locking, and we are going to give you an example, and from the example we are going to you know we are going to basically build the concept of both this locking. So let's take an example. We have a table called product, and in product table we have very simple two column. One is name and second one is called amount. So assume that this is our product table. Product table has two columns. One is name and amount. Let's say in a name I have something called pencil, and the amount is 500. Let's say I have another column called paper. Let's say there are 1000 amount of paper. So this is our very simple table. The simple table will contain two columns and two rows, and like this. Let's say we are doing a transaction where we are going to read how many pencils we have, and then basically let's say somebody comes to your, so imagine this is the inventory of a real shop, and then somebody is coming and then asking, okay, give me 100 pencil. So what he's going to do? So in that case, he is going to read select amount from product where name is equal to say pencil. So using this SQL statement, I'm going to get the amount of pencils that I have at that moment. Let's say this is going to give me the number of pencils to 500. Then what I'm going to do, since I'm going to sell 100 pencils to that customer, so I have the new amount that I have. You say, let's say this is called a new amount is equal to 500 minus 100, that is 400. Okay, so I have the new amount, and now I'm going and then update this product table, and I'm setting the amount is equal to the new amount 400. Okay, so if I'm going to do that, assume there are two scenarios. Like while I am while this customer C1 comes and asks for 100, another customer C2 might have come and then asks for another 100 pencils, right? So if he has asked another 100 pencils, so that means and then I have not complete the transaction. For C1 I'm still doing this transaction. I'm about to update right now. So before this action happens, if another customer comes C2, and then let's say this customer C2 is asking for 500 pencils. Okay, so if customer is asking for 500 pencils, and then for this the agent who is basically serving, then he just look at the database and says, okay, we have 500 pencils, right? Because he doesn't, the second agent who is helping the customer 2 does not really know that something else is going on. And let's say what he's going to do, customer agent 2, he is going to basically get this 500, all these 500 pencils, and give it to customer 2 and make it 0 before the agent 1 who is helping customer 1 is trying to update. So now let's say if so basically the customer C2's order is placed, and he customer C2 has already taken all the pencils. But whenever this customer C1 is C1 transaction is going on, then whenever he's going to do an update, this update should check. So now basically this has a problem right now. So how to solve the problem? To solve the problem, you have two ways. Either whenever you start the transaction, you lock the transaction assuming that there will be a conflict is going to occur. So therefore you lock it. Okay, I don't worry about it. No, I just want to lock it. If you lock this thing, if the customer agent 1 had locked about C1, then whenever customer 2 comes, and he must just wait, because he cannot, because this row is locked right now by customer 1. So in that case, customer C2 might have wait. That is called pessimistic locking. In pessimistic locking, the assumption here is that there will be a conflict that is going to happen. Let's say if customer 2, instead of asking pencil, he is asking for paper. That means he is going after the second row, not the first row. So in that case, even if I lock this thing, assuming that you just have only 2 users, okay, so you just lock, you just create unnecessarily a blocking thing on this thing. But however, this thing happen on some other rows, right? So in that case, that is probably not a good idea to lock at the first, assuming that there is a conflict. Let's say in this product we have 1000 products, then you see what is the probability of hitting one pencil simultaneously. It's maybe 1 by 100,000, right? So this is the probability, maybe like somebody is going to hit that thing, right? So instead of locking at the beginning, what we can do, we can lock here. We can lock at this point. So now we are going to write. Okay, so when you are going to read, do not worry about, just see them. Then when we are ready to take, so basically this is when it's basically saying, right? So what I'm going to do, we are going to update that update product and set the amount to 400. But what we are going to do, we are going to where your product is equal to pencil, and importantly we are going to give another condition where amount is equal to the amount that is started when I start this thing. So when I start this transaction, the amount was 500. Okay, so you update only if your amount is the amount that we start with, and that is going to save you the other problem. Now consider the scenario where customer C2 is going to request 500 pencil. Let's say customer C2 requests 500 pencils. So again customer C2 is going to read 500, and he he took all of them and then he made it to 0. So now, so if this is made it 0 before this update happens, then whenever this update is going to be done, so this update is going to fail because the amount is no more 500, amount is 0 right now. In that case, what is going to happen? He's going to redo the thing again. Go on and select what is the amount right now, because you are just, because what happens, this guy do a select and then after that he doesn't do anything, he just wait, right? He's still deciding whether he's going to buy or not. In the meantime, somebody else has come and already bought all the pencils. So therefore, what you're going to do, this update is going to fail, and then what you're going to do is go on and see it again, do it again. And if you see in this scenario, we are locking at the very last moment, and here the assumption here is that that conflict will not occur. Okay, the assumption is that conflict will not occur. So therefore, this is called optimistic locking. That means I'm not going to lock at the very beginning like a pessimistic way. Okay, I'm going to lock at the very end when I'm going to write, and if for whatever reason that I don't also guarantee that that write statement is going to succeed, because it may happen that somebody else has already updated that row whatever you started. Okay, and in that case, if this update failed, then I'm going to redo the things again, and this is what is your, this is called optimistic locking. Now imagine, like, you must have aware about this, you must have aware about the website called Amazon.com or any e-commerce website. So let's try to see, like, what is really, what kind of locking mechanism is good for those things. Let's say take about Amazon.com. So if you go to Amazon.com, you will see different types of products. Let's say this is product P1, this is product P2, P3, and all this thing. So what happens? First you just click on that. So whenever you click on that, it's going to do, the system is going to select and then see, like, how many amount, how much, uh, basically, how much quantity of that product is available. Let's say the quantity, whenever you click that thing is 100. Okay. Now let's say if Amazon.com is going to go for a pessimistic locking strategy, then what is going to happen is that we are going to block this row. Block this row. So you are lock this row, and then so basically this, this customer one. So basically, assuming that we have a pessimistic strategy here. Okay. So whenever customer C1 goes there, so C1 basically lock the product, in the product table for this P1 row is completely locked by C1. Now let's say another customer C2, he also goes and see, okay, customer C2 also finds out that, okay, so there is a, product P1, and there are 100 things are still available, because customer C1 has not write anything, he has not brought anything. And then customer C2 can see, like, how many this thing, because lock does not prevent you reading. Okay. Now let's say while customer C1 is still browsing, okay, for other products and all those things, he is not yet ready to buy. Customer C2 saw this thing and he likes it and he wants to buy. So he wants to buy means some update is going to happen in the product table. But because customer C1 is already holding the lock, assuming that customer C1 is going to buy, we are just lost a transaction that customer C2 could have buy, and customer C2 is going to wait now. Customer C2 is going to wait for customer C1 if we are going for a pessimistic locking approach in Amazon.com or any website that does a lot of, like, browse and then write. Okay. So in that case, what we're going to do, customer C2 probably wait, and then customer C2, if the wait time is so high, then maybe he is going to, he or she is going to, go away from the, he may not decide to buy, that I can't wait so long to buy. That means Amazon.com is going to lose a transaction. Okay. So therefore, pessimistic locking is not a way to go in this kind of site. What you do optimistic locking. So they do optimistic locking. In optimistic locking, what is going to happen is that, let's say customer C1 is going to read, okay, C read 100, customer C2 read 100, okay, and customer C2 is, nobody is basically locking anything at this point. Whenever they are going to actually decide to buy, that is when they are going to update. And then that, that process is very, because right now they are browsing. Browsing can take a lot of time, but when you buy just one click, that, okay, so you are done, and when you pay the money and then you got the, product, and then in the inventory we are going to deduct at that time. So this is why, so this is a kind of a thing that people ask you, like, in what kind of scenario optimistic locking is good. And remember, in optimistic locking, we might have to go back and redo the transaction if it is this thing, right? So therefore, for example, if pessimistic locking, otherwise, pessimistic locking is more useful whenever you are going to have some kind of scenario where that, okay, I'm going to do this transaction anyway. So in that case, go to pessimistic locking and then do it quickly and then finish it. There's no more browsing. The steps will be very quick, like select, update, and commit. Those things will be pretty quick. In that case, pessimistic locking may be a good idea. That means for sure that we are going to update. Know for sure that conflict will occur. Then in that case, go for pessimistic locking, so that you don't have to redo. So had you used optimistic locking, then you have to redo these steps again and again.